all across the country, there's all kinds of hodgepodge patchwork, who's open, who's not, phase one, phase two. Here's what I think, okay, and I'm working with a group of local business owners here, all kinds of different owners. The COVID lockdown is over, okay? Those of us listening, it's like when you're punished and you have to stay in your room and your parents go out, okay? You could wander the house a little bit. There's no rules right now anymore. If tens of thousands of people can get together and march, then other people should be able to get together with their loved ones for a funeral or a wake or a wedding or a graduation. And it's outrageous, okay? To talk about it a little further, Fernando Uribe joins us right now. No, he's not there yet, but Frankie's with me. Hey, Frankie, what's up?
Hello there, John.
This topic that we're going to go over with Fernando, it kind of, dovetails into what we were just talking about with the oldest 4th of July parade in the country. The hypocrisy. It's absurd. It's like, where does it end, Frank? Why don't...
Well, it's a combination of hypocrisy and inconsistency, right? So either there should be a policy that's based on objective criteria, or there isn't. I mean, I was really frustrated with some remarks from New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, either on Friday or Saturday, in which he said essentially that certain protests are okay and certain protests aren't. He basically said that if you're protesting to open a nail salon, then that's not as important as if you're marching with thousands of other people to correct a wrongful murder. Well, the Constitution doesn't make any distinction between protests that you think are okay and protests that you think are not okay. If you want to protest the sky being blue, you have a right to do that, just as I have a right to protest any atrocity that I want, right? So for Governor Phil Murphy to say that's the standard, which basically sounds like it's only okay to protest if he agrees with it, I think that's pretty frightening. It's yet another example of him proving what he said to Tucker Carlson, which is the Bill of Rights is above his pay grade.
It is pretty scary. The new thing that's popping up is defund and dismantle the police. And, it seems like it should be no shock to us here in New York City, but Bill de Blasio is saying that he's going to take money from cops and NYPD budgets and give it to child service, social services, all this other stuff. Let me ask you this, Frank. You usually keep me straight on this stuff, so you explain this. They're actually agreeing with Trump, right? Because just last year, Trump said, if you're a sanctuary city, I'm not going to give you federal law enforcement grants and funding, right? So he was taking funding. Remember that?
Yeah, it's not exactly the same.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So he was already saying, fine, I'll defund the police for you. I'll take away your federal law enforcement bucks. So now they're saying what?
I think you're misunderstanding the president's position on sanctuary cities.
No, what I'm saying is they're the same cities. The cities where the riots are and they want to dismantle and defund are the sanctuary cities. So we're all on the same page. Let's just move forward, Fred.
Right.
Let's not. Boom,
let's
you're
not.
good.
As somebody that has to live in one of those cities, let's not.
Buddy, I'm not. I'm being sarcastic, but it's just it's almost like they're saying what Trump said. If you're a sanctuary city, I'm going to take money away from your cops.
Well, and the other irony, John, is for instance, in Los Angeles, where they've defunded $150 million from the LAPD. Now I have a brother-in-law who happens to be a member of the LAPD. You know what that money was going to be used for? It was going to be used for outfitting all the police officers in LA with body cameras. So, okay, good. Now we're not funding the LAPD. Right. That means no body cameras. That means if there are going to be instances of police brutality or police misconduct, it will be harder for the public to know about it. So who's really being helped?
Yeah, it is crazy. Let's see if we could break it down a little more and get the Garden State's point of view. We're joined by now Fernando Uribe. He is the host of Politically Direct on Insider NJ and faculty member at the Bergen Community College. Hey, Fernando, how are you?
John, Frank, good afternoon. Good to see you both.
See, you got the new backdrop going. I like the little Insider NJ on the back. Hey, Fernando, it seems like New Jersey is always a step ahead of New York. I'm not saying the governor's doing a great job, but what's happening? You know, Frank and I were just talking about parades being canceled. Someone was calling me over the weekend that they couldn't see their loved one right before they died. They wouldn't let them see them. The hypocrisy of what's going on right now is absurd, isn't it?
Fernando, can you hear us okay?
Hey, Fernando.
All right.
Oh,
I think Fernando is having some difficulty with his connection.
All right,
But
let's do him. Let's bring him back in segment 3 in hour 2 if he can do it, or we can do segment 1. It's only 5 minutes.
okay. Now, speaking of George Floyd, there's a public viewing for George Floyd that's currently underway in Houston. I believe that's where he's from originally.
Closed
That's just gotten underway within the last few minutes.
Closed casket, right?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I heard Reverend Al. I don't know if you saw these protests here in Staten Island, New York, Frankie, but the protesters were abusing Reverend Al.
Well, I did not see those particular images, but you know what? Look, whenever
Not
you have
images.
18,
Not images.
Sorry?
Not images. The lady was talking on the thing, and they were referring to him as Al Sharp, you know, ASS. You know what I mean? That was the nickname they were using him. How he's, you know, a fake and a fraud, and he comes in at the last minute and tries to steal the limelight. I was surprised they were crushing him.
well, Staten Island is a tough crowd, as you know. It can often be tough on anybody, even if you're trying to agree with them.